Chartered Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance, and we are joined today by John Spiros. He is a member of the Wisconsin State Assembly, but he is a member who has another full-time job. There are some of you that work full-time and serve in the legislature. Some do it exclusively, meaning the legislature. How do you do it, sir?
It's actually having good staff.
Oh, clearly, right.
That's the key. The key is having good personnel and knowing I can count on those individuals. So,
but look, this is Wisconsin. This is a state of almost 6 million people. You know, this is not a tiny state or a tiny city council. And so I say this with all due deference. It's got to be hard doing both.
It's difficult, but you know, technology keeps me in key, so I know what's going on all the time. So if we didn't have cell phones today, we weren't able to communicate over the internet, we weren't able to do things like that, it would be very difficult. If that's all I had was a landline to call back, I would be out of sync. So
let's talk about staying in sync with the public. And it appears that in Wisconsin, the public was telling you, metaphorically speaking, telling other members of the legislature, they were committed to K12 education, and they did not want to see a cut in education funding. Apparently, y'all heard that, heard it loud and clear. And as we speak today, it looks like Governor Walker's proposal to cut K12 has been rebuffed.
Yeah, and that's true, but I don't think he was really looking to cut it. Basically, there was not a fund there for basically 2016.
Sure.
So I know we pushed on our side of the aisle, and I pushed very hard to say, let's try to restore the funds. Let's get back to $150 per child. And my understanding is that's what we're going to do. That was passed by joint finance, and they also added $100.
That's what I was going to say, per
child in the second year of the biennium. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and it is interesting how the collaborative process works. That somehow, some way, you all got together, you made it work, and you move forward. Another issue that seems to be interesting in terms of collaboration and bipartisan connection is the question of vouchers. You know, a lot of issues will break along party lines. Vouchers is not breaking along party lines. It seems to be breaking along geographic lines. Those that tend to represent rural areas are a little nervous about expanding Wisconsin's voucher program. Those that represent urban areas are a little more willing, regardless of party. So talk to me about what you've heard out and about in your district about the potential expansion of vouchers beyond the 1,000 students outside of Milwaukee and Racine, of course.
Yeah, I think it depends on where you fall. That's a lot of it. And I think people look at it from the standpoint, is this going to hurt public schools? And I think what we've seen is it gives the opportunity for those low income, those who don't have the opportunity, has them an opportunity to get a good education. So, you know, what we're looking to do, and my understanding is joint finance did not follow the governor's recommendation of just opening this statewide and restricting it to 1%. And also putting school accountability in there.
I saw that.
Which I know when I campaigned, that was one of the big issues, was if we were going to expand it, then I would expand it and look at it only from the standpoint if we were to put accountability to standards.
So is your district more rural, more suburban, more urban?
You know, mine's both. And, you know, because you have the city of Marshfield, have the city of Mosinee, and then I'm around Wausau, and I have basically Marathon and, you know, those other individuals. So we have a lot of rural area, but we also do have some cities, but we're definitely not like Madison or Milwaukee.
Of course. But so the question becomes, what are your constituents telling you on the question of vouchers? Because, you know, as you get more rural, private school options are not as available. And so since you have a district, like you said, that kind of mixes that rural, urban, suburban feel and look, where do you go?
You know, again, I think it's split.
It does. You do see that.
Yep. And I get a lot on this side that basically say, let's continue to increase it, and let's just do it all statewide and give them, you know, carte blanche. And then the other ones, basically, let's roll it back and let's not expand. So, you know, I think the happy medium, I think, is where joint finance landed.
So it will, as we speak today, it looks like there will be an increase, but it's more controlled.
I believe so.
Let's talk about the economy in Wisconsin. Look, statisticians, academicians, they can play with statistics left, right, and center. And so when you look at the statistics coming out of Wisconsin, depending on what you want to pull, you can tell a wonderful story about the future of Wisconsin's economy, or you can tell a story that's less positive. One thing that's undeniable, though, is that Wisconsin's jobless rate is below the national average,
right,
and has been. How does that manifest? And is that really the headline when you think about the Wisconsin comeback and recovery?
You know, for me, it's a great headline. When you look at the last numbers that were just released, 4.4%,
right,
lower than the national average.
I mean, 4.4% is almost full employment. I mean, if you really think about it,
yeah,
it's pretty remarkable.
It is remarkable, and I think people need to give the state credit from that standpoint, because right, we have come back a great, I'd say a great deal when it comes down to the recovery. There's still more to do. It's not like we're all the way back, but we've made some great improvements.
Yet what you also see is, while unemployment is very low in Wisconsin, job growth is also low. Mm-hmm. Wage growth also below the national average. So it's kind of a tale of two cities in some way. Talk to us about that and your goals on that front.
Well, I think in last year we increased jobs by 37,000.
Okay.
My understanding is manufacturing was up 17,000. Mm-hmm. I believe in that sector.
Right.
So when you start taking a look at it, we're coming back. Manufacturing, I think that they said, was like 60 or 70% of where they were when the recession hit.
Right.
Now you got to remember, a lot of those manufacturers, GM was down in Janesville. That's no longer there.
Right.
So you've lost that. It's not like you're going to get that back. So other companies have come in. I think they talked about new job opportunities as far as new company starts were like 14,000.
Nice.
So I think those are positive. And, you know, we talked about where I work,
right,
as a full-time job. Right. Besides this full-time
right,
job.
Exactly.
And, you know, with that, I mean, right now we have opportunities for over 400 jobs that are available.
And the industry is, just for our viewers?
Transportation.
Transportation.
And transportation typically is that first sector that comes back
right,
on a recovery. Then you see construction.
Right.
Where we're at, and I've just talked to a bunch of contractors, we both need employees.
Well, that's great news.
So it is good news.
Are the employees available? I mean, do you have the labor, or do you need to go to neighboring states?
No, we've been working on trying to find our own labor.
Uh-huh.
We've actually started things outside the box. Those are some of the things I'm looking at, even for our state,
right,
from a job and a skills opportunity, to take a look at it outside the box to see if we can't do something from skilled labor.
Right, so your staff was kind enough to provide me with an extensive report on the Wisconsin economy. And what's interesting is when you look at jobs lost during the recession and those that have come back, certain industries have already recovered, right, and are doing better. Education and health, they actually did well during the recession. Right. Professional services, business services have come back to retain and exceed pre-recession levels. But what's interesting about that sector is a lot of temp jobs.
Yep.
But that's not unique to Wisconsin.
Right.
It's kind of a wave where you're seeing more temp jobs. Talk to me about that scenario and how, I don't know that the government can do much about that, but you know, about that whole model.
It's a unique model,
right,
and it's a model that even some of my own children have been caught up in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of tough, because I think what's happened is, as rules and regulations and things from the federal government become tighter, businesses look for ways out, and they look for opportunities. And these are opportunities that are down a different street that hopefully will get somebody into a full-time job. But it's basically looking at a catalyst that says, hey, look, I'll hire you, but you're going to be a temp. And then at some point, if we want to bring you on full-time, then you'll have benefits and everything else. So that's been around for a long time, but it's probably expanded a little bit, and I believe that has to do a lot with rules and regulations,
right,
and a lot what's been put on by the federal government.
I hear you. His name is John Spiros. He is a member of the Wisconsin State Assembly. My name is Brad Pomerance. You're watching Charter Local Edition.